Hi, if you like the video, please remember to subscribe. Hi, I'm Rob from roblandphoto.com, and today we're going to be having a quick look at the Yongnuo YN460-II Speedlite, or more commonly referred to as a flash or a little strobe. Now, I just happen to have two of these little beauties to show you today, and they're a budget flash that's available real cheap. And so if you want to get into off-camera flash, some of the Yongnuo models can be very interesting indeed. The YN460-II offers excellent value for money, and it's got some really interesting features. The first thing to say though about the YN460-II is the fact that it is a manual flash. So what that means is, even when you mount it on your camera, like you can see it here on my little 350D, it doesn't talk to the camera about exposure. So if you're going to be shooting, you're going to be shooting in manual mode and just firing the camera that way. Now that might seem a little bit daunting at first, especially if you're used to the TTL exposure of your pop-up flash, and if you use some of the more advanced Canon flashes. But it isn't really, because we have that massive advantage of two things. The flash is you can control the power, and of course we have our LCD screen on the back, where we can look at the histogram if we have to of our image to make sure they're exposed adequately, and then we can adjust the power of the flash. So we'll leave that one there, and let's just grab this one here. Now, what you get in the box with the flash is a let's take that off. You get the flash itself, you get a nice little bag, and you get a little foot for it to stand on as well. But for the sake of showing you maybe what you could do it, what I've got here is a little JJC wireless trigger, which is available separately. And so the flash itself is a manual flash when you've got it mounted on your camera, but it also offers two more modes. So if we turn this one on, you'll be able to see. And those modes are manual, like you see at the top, slave 1 and slave 2. So what does that mean? Well, in slave 1 mode, the flash will actually sense when another flash goes off and trigger the camera, trigger the flash itself. So it's a really simple wireless flash system for off-camera flash. However, don't get tripped up by mode 1, because with mode 1, as soon as a flash goes off, this flash will fire. So if you were using another manual flash, like say a 460 Mark II on your camera, when your camera fires this flash, you'd have it in slave mode 1 on here, and then that would go ping, and then it would fire off as well. However, if you're using the pop-up flash on your camera, or one of the more advanced flashes that use TTL through the lens metering for the flash exposure, or ETTL, you go to mode slave 2. And what mode slave 2 does, it allows for that first pre-flash that you'll get with automatic exposure flashes. So normally when an automatic exposure flash goes, like the pop-up flash on your camera or on your compact or your bridge camera or whatever, although you don't actually notice it, it actually does fire twice, very, very quickly. It fires once to measure the exposure of the subject, and then it adjusts the power of the flash and then fires again. And in slave mode 2, what the YN460-II does is it watches for that first flash. It doesn't fire on that one, but fires on the second one. So all of a sudden we've got a very powerful system indeed. Now, as I said before, it's a manual flash, so you have to be able to adjust the power. Now at full power, the 460 Mark II has a guide number of 38. So what does that mean? Well, what you've got to do is it's 38, which means that at 35mm focal length, which is roughly what the flash is aimed at, it has a guide number of 38 for ISO 100, and that's in meters. So to kind of put that in English, what you would do is, if you want to know what f-stop, or what aperture to have your camera at when you're using the flash at full power, you divide the guide number by the distance in meters. So if the guide number is 38, which this flash is, and you were say 3 meters away, that would be roughly 38 divided by 3. What's that? 10. That's 13. So you'd be running at f13 at full power, and then you could adjust it accordingly. And what I'll do is I'll give you an idea of how fast it recycles. Let's just fire a flash off, and then see if it's ready to go again. Look at that, see? So one of the things you tend to find recommended on most strobist sites as well is you never have your flash on full power to start off with. Anyway, have it quite far down. And what these power lights mean is you start off at full power, then you go down to half, quarter, eighth, 16th, 32, 64, etc. And you can adjust exactly what you need. Now, to get the flash firing in the right direction, we have a head that can swivel through 270 degrees, I believe that is, and it can also swivel up and down. And then on the top of it we've got a wide angle diffuser, which is there. Now the idea of this little baby is, because as you've probably noticed there's no zoom function on the head of these flashes, what you have to be able to do is, if your camera's on wide angle, say using something like a 18 to 50, 17 to 55 or 18 to 55, something like that, at 18 you might well find that there's dark edges on the edge of your scene, so you put this little diffuser on and that helps to spread the light more, and it gives you a more natural look. You've also got a bounce card, which you can see there, and the idea with that is, again, and you don't have to have both at the same time, you just have the bounce card come out, there we go, but the flash comes up and bounces. So if you wanted a little bit more of a natural look and your subject, say, was the camera, that would bounce it that way, or you could do it like that and it would bounce it that way. So we've got some really nice little sort of things to play with. Now if you go through the forums and read about the Yongnuo flashes, one of the things that people will say is they're not the most indestructible flashes in the world, and I guess the cost is reflected in the build quality, but I've been using these babies for a few months now and they seem to be fine. I'm never like doing lots of continuous shooting with them to burn them out or anything like that, and I'm very careful with how I handle them. So overall I think for a starter strobe flash you can't really go wrong with the YN460-II, with the fact that not only does it have fully adjustable power, but it's got your 2 slave settings, so you could even use it with an old film camera, a brand new digital compact, or anything like that. So to kind of finish off, let's see if I can get these 2 flashes to fire wirelessly together. And again, I'm not going to be using the JJCs, I'm just going to be using the built-in strobe. So let's see what happens. Let's put the camera on. It's already in manual mode. Let's turn this flash on here. And so let's see, when I fire, let's see what happens. Oh, no, that one didn't fire, did it? You want to go to slave 1, that's why. See, I was in the wrong slave mode. Let's give it a go again now. Let's see what happens this time. See if we can get them both to go. There you go. Did you see the other one go off as well? I don't know whether the video captured it. So that's your basic slave mode. Now if you wanted to get a little bit more advanced, what you could do, you could go wireless with something like the JJC. And if you check my YouTube stream of videos, you'll see I've got an example of this. And what you do is you put the wireless commander unit on top of the camera, that goes underneath there, and then all of a sudden you've got a fabulous wireless combination. But that's for another video. So there we go. That's my little look at the Yongnuo YN460-II Speedlite or flash. Very, very good, fantastic value for money, and if you want to get into strobes, you can't really go wrong with trying out 1 or 2 of these little babies. My name's Rob from robnonphoto.com. Thanks for watching.